How's everybody doing? My name's Travis Sims. I'm from Pixotope. I deal with North America here for Pixotope, and we're here to talk a little bit about our partnership and what we do with Unilumin, but specifically on how our tools incorporate and work with what Unilumin does. We're really happy to be here. We're happy about this partnership, and yeah, we'll get it going. One of the first things I want to do to get us started, though, is I want to give you guys a little bit of a backgrounder on who we are, what we do, some of the projects that we've done, and the best way to do that is to show you guys a little bit of a reel. No audio on it, but you guys will get the idea. All right, more impactful with audio, but still, you get the idea here. So, who are we? Because you guys saw a bunch of stuff on there, but you really need to know kind of what it is that we do. So, Pixotope, we are a virtual production software solution. We have a number of people across, obviously, the entire globe. But the productions that we've worked on primarily, we've done things here in North America like the Super Bowl, Final Four, NFL, SportsCenter. So you're seeing a lot of broadcast here, seeing some reoccurring themes. But we've done a lot in terms of some stuff in the XR space. So things like Dota 2. You'll also notice we've done a lot in terms of live sports and AR, things like Nickelodeon's Nickmas game. But specifically what we are is a software platform that's built on the Unreal Engine. We are not a plugin. We are a piece that is a recompile or a rebuild of that engine itself. So a real-time virtual production software platform. We launched back in 2019. The three core components of kind of what we try to focus in on are our increased efficiency, our increased creativity, and increased immersion. So what do those three things mean? Why is that important? Well, from an efficiency standpoint, this is saving you in terms of costs, in terms of what you guys would normally go out and do. Being on location, being on set, you're able to kind of consolidate those production efforts to one location, typically with XR. From a creativity standpoint, you're going to be able to generate and do things that typically you wouldn't be able to do. Those wild ideas, those things that you might think are otherworldly, you can do when you're actually working within this engine. And then in terms of that increased immersion, it's also going to be a little bit more of a, from a graphic standpoint especially, it's going to be something that's going to pull you in. It's going to give you guys more of an immersive experience. So we're three different parts in terms of what virtual production would be composed of, in terms of what our program to do. So we can do XR, virtual studios, CG, controls, camera tracking. We're kind of an all-in-one. But the three primary that we're focusing in on today, augmented reality, XR, and virtual studios. So kind of the industries that we focus in on, I kind of alluded to it already. You saw it in some of the examples that we showcased to you guys, but some of the places that we're kind of niched into is in broadcast, live events, sports, esports. So in terms of markets, we're working across everything, corporate, house of worship. There's a number of places where, again, we fit in where you otherwise wouldn't think that virtual production would be a part of. Some of the people that we've worked with, I'll let you guys take a look at who we've been there for, but some of the people I'd like to highlight here in North America, a lot of people within the sports side from ESPN. We just recently did a huge project with Hearst Communications up in Boston, so a number of people on there probably look fairly familiar to you. So what makes us unique? What makes us different from what a lot of the other guys are doing out there? So one of the big things, like I already kind of alluded to and mentioned earlier, was the fact that we are not an actual plugin. We're a recompile or rebuild of that engine. We're a modified version of the Unreal Engine. We thought about the tools that we put into this product with live production in mind. So from a user standpoint, we're thinking about fast and efficient workflows. We're thinking about that image fidelity, being able to own that workflow, being able to own that live pipeline as you guys are working and making adjustments. And we're incredibly versatile and flexible. So a lot of people that are coming from a base or a vanilla Unreal standpoint have had a limited amount of experience in this space. They're using these tools thinking, this looks pretty familiar to me. I have a good understanding of how I can take it to the next step and how I can make this work more for a broadcast-ready production. In terms of virtual production, for those who don't already know, in terms of some of the things that you're incorporating or marrying into what you're doing, it's three main components. So we're taking our video source, whatever that might be, we're incorporating that in with tracking. In terms of Pixotope, we have our own tracking solution as well, different flavors from through the lens tracking all the way to optical tracking systems that are giving you more accurate, depending on the projects that you guys are doing. And then we're marrying that with the graphics, which is traditionally what you guys are doing in Unreal, but bringing that all together in a virtual production setting that's ready for broadcast. Real time is the key word there. So again, kind of mentioned it, those three parts, but really where we're focusing it in today is going to be in on XR. But the program itself is going to be a combination of three different components, which is going to be virtual studios or set extensions. You're going to have augmented reality, so bringing in those graphics to make them look real and immersive, and then again, XR and working with these great walls. So we're going to focus in XR. And when we talk about XR, there's a lot of people that use XR in different ways. A lot of people talk about virtual production in the sense that to them, virtual production, XR might be used interchangeably. We look at XR as actually using an LED volume, bringing it in, creating these virtual environments. It's a little bit more immersive. It's the step up in terms of virtual production. So what are those benefits? The big ones is that if you're doing different locations, areas that you otherwise might not be able to get to, again, bigger, larger scale environments that may not be within your budget, this is going to be able to draw down the time, the budgets, everything that you guys would normally be having to consider to make these things happen, and making it incredibly simplified. It's going to create highly engaging and realistic scenes. So in terms of the realism of it, you can create realistic scenes that are as good, if not better, and oftentimes than some of the places that you guys might go, because you can control that environment fully. And it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money, obviously, as we've been talking about. And the benefit here, too, is that things like the LED volumes are going to give you that added benefit of the lighting that's actually coming off the LEDs. You can use things like, lighting controls and lights that are actually going to be able to marry or pair with your scene at the same time. So you have a lot of different combinations of things that you can do to, again, make it more realistic. So, talked about ease of use. In terms of what are those tools, what are those things that we have that make this much easier for you? We have the XR holdouts, so we have the ability, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. We have a video that'll showcase a little bit more, things like digital twin, which is going to allow you to actually build a point cloud, build a virtual digital twin of your actual XR wall, and start working and manipulating your scenes as you need to. We have a WYSIWYG control panel that basically is you're going to have everything and anything that you could want to control within that program directly within our system. You can set it up, customize it, put it in a way that is going to work for you and your individual production. So you can automatically optimize camera rotation in your field of view. You have support for virtual camera moves when you guys are working in the scenes. Color matching, another big one too. So we have full color grading per output. We have multi-camera switching, 10-bit uncompressed video workflow, and then we have a lot of post tools that are going to help you in terms of the tracking data and the time code that you need to send out elsewhere. We have multi-render engine, so LTC and VITC timecode sync. And then we have a lot of multi-user collaboration tools. We understand there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be working within a production that need to have access to different tools or might have different roles within a production. With this, you are going to be able to assign those, set them up. You can go all the way down to setting it up on an iPhone in terms of being able to control and key things in. And then we're also working towards 2110 support as well. From a workflow standpoint, We have flexible VS and AR workflow options. Now, the reason we kind of point this out is that from a licensing standpoint, we're kind of built in a way that based on the type of production that you're doing, you're going to have a license that's going to kind of fit your needs. So if you're purely working in a mode, let's say, more green screen, more traditional production, maybe you're doing purely AR, there's a license support option for that where you don't have to go full-blown XR. But in terms of kind of the layout, the tools, the access that you're going to have, it's all the same. So in terms of how you guys learn, work with this stuff, it's not going to be a completely different thing. No proprietary hardware, so everything that we do is completely off the shelf in terms of hardware. The added benefit there for a lot of people is that we're not locking you into something. A lot of people want to build their own machines. They want access to be able to build those machines. Over time, as you guys expand and grow, it's easier to get the parts than it often is to have to go to one sole source for the actual servers that you might need. We have no requirements for that IP infrastructure. We have low latency due to no requirement for any external media server. And then we seamlessly integrate with things like our talent tracking system. And if you guys are interested in that, it's an incredible thing where we can track multiple subjects within a frame, allow them to interact with AR elements, key up different things within the actual scene. And then we can drive multiple LEDs from single or multiple machines. So depending on the scale of the wall that you guys are running and what you guys might be doing, in terms of the amount of machines that you might need, you might be scaling that back considerably to some of the other options out there. So I talked a little bit about digital twin, and before this jumps in, well, as it's going, let's just do it this way. This is going to give you an idea of what I talked about earlier about building that digital twin, or basically building a point cloud around the actual wall that you have with our tracking system, pulling that into Pixotope and being able to do a lot of manipulation. So the reason we point this out and highlight this so much is this is such a huge part of the process of working in XR. And the benefit here is that something that would have taken hours, if not, maybe multiple days to be able to set up and do properly can be done, in a completely shortened amount of time. So for most people, it can be less than half a day to be able to set something up. So.